Alright, imaginary numbers. Square root of -1. The square root of -1 is actually equal to I. I know the math teachers have been lying to you for years saying we cannot take the square root of a negative, but we can. It's an imaginary number. So the square root of -1 is I. The reason why is because all I'm doing is going to pull up my I, anytime I have a negative number in my square root, and it's going to leave me whatever I have left. So the square root of -1, well, that's just 1. So it'll be 1 times I, which is equal to I. But there's other things we have to go over about what each I is equal to. So if I had I is equal to the square, I squared, I cubed, and I to the 4th power. They're all equal to different things. So I to the first is just equal to I. I squared is equal to -1. I to the third is equal to -I. And then I to the fourth is equal to 1. So for example, if I had I to the 24th power, and I want to know what does it equal, instead of going through and counting how many times I go through, I'm just going to take 24, I'm going to divide it by 4, that gives me 6, with no remainder, which means the answer is just 1. If it was I raised to the, let's say, 35th power, I'd do the same thing. I'd take 35, divide it by 4, and that gives me 8. That's 32. The remainder of 3. So I to the 35 power is equal to -I. So that's how you figure out what it's equal to, just in case it gives you something like that. But the key thing is, though, that you will need is I squared is always going to be equal to -1. So I'm going to go over examples now. If I had the square root of -5, what's that going to be equal to? Well, I'll pull out my I, and then it's just going to be square root of 5. Can I simplify the square root of 5? No. So it's just going to stay I squared to 5. If I had the square root of -8, well, it's going to be I square root of 8. And now I'm going to simplify 8. Apply to 2, so that gives me 2I square root of 8. Alright, this next one I want you to do, and while you work on it, I will play more Guns N' Roses, Take Me Down to the Paradise City, where grass green.
And the girls are pretty. And give him back his pen.
So, it gives me 4I to the 3rd power. So here, before we multiply, it's the same concept that we did yesterday, but instead, before I multiply, I'm going to simplify. And so now I'm just going to multiply, 15. However you want to do this, we'll just do it this way. So if I squared square root of 45, and then break down 45, so 9 times 5, break down 3 and 3, so a 3 is going to come out. I'm going to multiply whatever's there. So it's going to be 3I squared square root of 5. Since I have I squared, we know that I squared is equal to -1. So all that's going to do is multiply, or replace that with -1. So 3 times -1 is -3. So -3 square root of 5. And we'll do 2 more of these.
So just over this next
So now we're going to multiply square root of negative 6 times square root of negative 12. So I'm going to get I squared again. So that's going to bring out an I and I. And then 12 times 6 is 72. So now I'm just going to break down 72. 72, 9 times 8.
Carmichael.
So 3 and 3, 4 and 2, 2 and 2. So circle that. So I'm going to multiply those together, so I'll get 6I squared square root of 2. And then so that's just going to be negative 6 square root of 2. Next one I want you to do, I'll make it a little harder. I'll put numbers in front. Alright, y'all do this one. And while you do it, once again, more guns. And yes, I was headbanging. My hair was going everywhere. So 5's going to come out. So that's going to be 20I squared square root of 2. So that's going to be negative 20 square root of. Alright, so let's say you have this problem. So once again, same thing we did yesterday. We're going to multiply by the conjugate. First thing I'm going to do is simplify the problem. And then I'm going to multiply by the conjugate, which is 2 plus I squared root of 5 all over 2 plus I squared root of 5. And once again, we're going to FOIL. So that gives me 4 plus 2I square root of 5. And minus 2I square root of 5. This is going to give me a minus 5I squared. So the only difference from these problems that we're doing today or yesterday to today is that I squared, it's going to change my 5 to a positive. So instead of being subtracting my bottom numbers, I'm going to be adding them. So my answer is going to be 9, 6 plus 3I square root of 5. Because all I did was multiply 3 times 2, and then 3 times I squared 5. Alright, one more, and you all are going to work on it. So here, first thing I'm going to do is simplify my bottom. Multiply by the conjugate, which is I square root of 3 minus 7. And simplify this. So, this is going to give me 3I squared minus 49. So I'm going to multiply it out. Middle terms are going to cancel out, and that's all it's going to leave me with on the bottom. On top, it's going to give me a huge mess. So that's going to give me 2I square root of 3 minus 14. And then it's also going to give me a positive 3i squared, and then minus 7i square root of 3. So I can combine some terms. So negative 5i square root of 3 3i squared is going to be negative 3, so it's going to be negative 17 all over negative 52. Alright, so we're going to do tomorrow.